MLB opening days and weekend. The good, the bad, and everything else. Who's better, umpires or the ABS system? This is Kent, and this is Fanatically Speaking. Let's go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Another episode of Fanatically Speaking, and going to hit on the Major League Baseball opening days and the weekend. I think the question comes up, do we need multiple opening days? So want to just get into that and all the games that happened this first weekend-ish days of baseball season 2026. And again, getting into this first is just do we need these opening days? We have a standalone game on Wednesday that were the Yankees and the Giants on Netflix. And I don't know how well it did. I haven't looked at all that. I don't believe I watched hardly any of it. And again, there's no reason why. I just think, for baseball, there is some sort of tradition to opening day. And I like the idea of, everyone playing one day. On opening day, everybody plays. Games are spread out from noon to 10 o'clock at night to finish at midnight. So just 12 to 12, let's do it baseball one day. That's all we need. We get why they do what they do. They like to make that money and get the attention. But I don't like the standalone game, and I also don't like, teams' first games being spread out amongst 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Some teams didn't even play Thursday. They played Friday, their first game. So scheduling these games, it's just, again, it's a traditional thing. Waiting, I'm all pumped about, opening day and stuff. And of course I'm a Braves fan, so I got to wait till Friday night to watch the Braves. And I'll get to them later, but, they didn't disappoint, which is surprising for now with everything going on with them. But yeah, can we just get the one day? I don't think we need multiple opening days and definitely, spread out throughout the week and weekend. Let's do better, MLB. For one of those teams, it doesn't really matter when they play. Fans or lack of fans don't come watch them. And that team is the Miami Marlins. I believe they were able to muster up about 10,000 fans for their opening game. And again, this has been something that's just been going on with Miami and the Marlins for a while. Somehow they got that city to build them a stadium, a brand new, fancy stadium, and their franchise. Even though they outplayed themselves last year with the talent, they're already 3-0, off the first weekend. Now they played the Rockies, which are, the dumpster of MLB. But the Marlins, again, fans don't show up. And it's been this way. And maybe it's just because the fans have been burned by, this organization twice. The twice they've won the World Series, and then immediately after winning during the off season, they trade away all the stars, which is basically they're buying the World Series. And I remember the first time they did it, they really did buy it. They went all out. When you go all out, you go get, the Kevin Browns, the Sheffields, the Bonillas, the Alous. You got Leland managing. I mean, they went all out that time to win that World Series. And then they traded them all away. So they didn't stretch that out. And then they followed that, of course, later winning it with the Josh Beckett, Miguel Cabrera, that squad, Charles Johnson. And then they immediately traded them all away. So they can't build a culture there for baseball. And I point that out because, this was a huge story just for opening weekend and, again, weekend days for MLB. It was just these, Miami Marlins. Again, they won't build a culture. The fans don't care. They don't come watch. We know how Miami is. They don't have a culture unlike the Miami Heat, even though I've talked about those fans, leaving in the NBA Finals when they thought the game was over. And then they try to get back in once they realized the game was not over. But yeah, the Marlins, I mean, it's a tough ask for, what does that mean, right? What does that mean for baseball, especially when, I've talked about NBA expansion, but there's been talk as early as late last year, they were talking about expansion for baseball. And they throw out all the, Nashville and Utah and Charlotte. And there's some other, a lot of cities actually have been mentioned for expansion. But is expansion what they need? Because there's a couple of teams in Florida, including the Marlins, that could, why are they in Miami? Why do we give them a team? The fans don't care. Why are we building new stadiums? And the same goes for the Tampa Bay Rays. And they've been talked about, relocation. So do we even need expansion? Do we just need relocation? And it's a valid question. And it doesn't come to talent, because I think there's enough talent in the minors, internationally, in the league. I think they could fill teams. I think they could do it. Now, 2 teams, again, is kind of a stretch, but I think it could happen. I think there's enough talent out there. But again, what about fans? You got to have fans to support the team and keep them going. And Tampa Bay is one of those teams that they're going to get a new stadium. But they don't get support either, just like Miami. For whatever reason, Florida just doesn't support baseball, which is weird because it is a huge baseball state, especially for like high school and college. There's so much talent down there, and there's so much talent coming out of Florida. It's weird that there's no support by fans and people. They hardly, Tampa Bay, they hardly signed free agents. They couldn't even get fans a few years ago at a playoff game. They weren't, I forgot what the number was, but it was around that, what the Marlins just got for opening day. So I think that, and I'm kind of all over the place here. It was, why are we doing these multiple days? And then why do we have teams in Florida? I think it's a combination here. I'm just hitting on, it's not ideal to have multiple opening days. And it's really, for Miami, that hurts that nobody wants to come watch your baseball team play, even though you had performed last year. So there should be some sort of, energy or hopes for this season, even though you are in the NL East against the Mets and Phillies and Braves. But you overperformed last year. You finished above the Atlanta Braves. So why can't you do it again? You should be a team on the rise. But again, maybe it'll change throughout the season. Maybe if they keep winning, maybe people will come watch them. But if not, I think let's forget about expansion for a moment. Can we put Tampa Bay Stadium on hold? They probably can't. And can we think about relocation maybe for these teams? And can MLB maybe, as I get into some of these rules and changes and things like that, let's think about that schedule. Let's change that while we're changing the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, trying to put that in the middle of the season. Let's kind of change opening days and weekend to opening day. All right, so still sticking with the opening days and weekend of Major League Baseball. Going to hit on a few things quickly, the good, the bad, and everything else. And that everything else, it might be, some of that everything else might have been the Marlins and the fans not coming to watch them play. But some good did happen by some teams. The Toronto Blue Jays picked up where they left off, not winning the World Series, but almost winning the World Series, giving us a great 7-game series. The runner-ups, they got, they just picked up where they left off. The Yankees, went into San Francisco and got that sweep. So the Jays, Yankees 3-0 right off the gate. Mets won the series against the Pirates. And one of those wins, and I'll get to that in a little bit, was against Paul Skeens. So impressive. The Mets looking good. Their acquisitions playing well. My team, who I've not given a whole lot of hope this season, which it's a long season. This is just one weekend. But the Braves started off really well. Getting a shutout in the first game, then a comeback win the second game, a huge walk-off grand slam by Dominic Smith, who I was giving no chance. Some of the guys, no disrespect, but some of the guys they're putting out there are obviously not regular starters. So I think the Braves have decisions to make. Once they get Kim back at shortstop, that's cool. And then after that, then it's like, hey, we got to figure out this DH. Yastrzemski looking really good. And I could go on and on and on about the Braves. But they did win the series against Kansas City Royals 2-1. So you'll take a series win. Baseball's like that, right? You want the sweep, but you'll take the series win. Math will be mathing good for you if you do that. And, of course, the Avenger Dodgers, they did, they went off and did their 3-0 with some competitive games. They really did have some competitive games. But again, we expect nothing less from them. And then you get player-wise. Aaron Judge, all the flack he got from the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, not coming in clutch and just not really having a good showing when it mattered the most, which he's kind of gotten that persona and that reputation, especially in games like that and the playoffs. But he was smashing like he always does in the regular season. Again, bank on it, Judge, Ohtani, MVPs. It just is what it is. Murakami with the Chicago White Sox bringing his power to them. The international Japanese acquisition, hitting bombs. He had 3 during the opening, weekend-ish of MLB, even though the White Sox are not good. So, of course, they got swept. And then there are other things that I noticed hitting-wise. We got Mike Trout hitting some bombs. Giancarlo, formerly Mike Stanton. That's kind of old, but still. Giancarlo Stanton, both chasing 500 home runs for their career. I think we look and we think that Mike Trout would already be there or even closer, but injuries have really derailed his numbers the past few seasons. Stanton as well. He kind of is banged up a lot, but again, dude can smash. Stanton now at 454 homers for a career. So he's closing in. And Mike Trout at 406. So Mike Trout's got a ways to go. But again, I think he's got some seasons left. He's got that long contract. He could play, do DH, and probably pad that until he got to 500 or at least close to 500. And I think there's going to be questions about both of these guys as we get closer to the Hall of Fame once their careers are finished. Obviously, Trout's got the MVP. Stanton's got an MVP. And Stanton's even got an ALCS MVP. So, and career numbers, again, they can be compared against a lot of guys in the Hall of Fame. Mike Trout is a Hall of Famer. But his numbers are going to tell you a little different because they don't add up like you think they would add up. And I'm not going to go through their numbers today. Maybe that's another episode. But again, both are chasing 500. I like, those will be 2 names that I hope stay healthy this season and just boost their numbers closer and closer to 500. I don't think Stanton gets there this season. He would have to play in a lot of games and hit a lot of home runs. I don't know that he has that in him anymore. I think he can get to that 30 to 40. So he can be, my guess is he's going to be around, he's going to be around 15 to 20 home runs to go after this season to get to 500. And then we can really start that conversation. I think he gets to 500. I think he does. He can play, a few more seasons and get there. But then that conversation will start. with can he be? Is he in a Is he a Hall of Famer? That's for another day. Pitching, Skubal, Chris Sale, Max Fried, all looking like the aces that we know they are. They performed. They did great for their team, and nothing surprises me there. Then we get to the guy who was an ace and is an ace and is considered maybe the best pitcher in baseball, but what an opening day for him. Paul Skeens got roughed up by the New York Mets, who we mentioned earlier. It was not pretty. It was really, really surprising, especially after the way he pitched in the World Baseball Classic, for USA. And he just came out with the Pirates and just had a rough day. And it happens. But no one expected this. No one expected that he wouldn't get out of the first inning. He pitched 2 1/3 of the first inning. 4 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned, 2 walks, only 1 K, and of course this will change. But he leaves that game with a 67.5 ERA. Not the Paul Skeens that we know. Now, he didn't get a lot of help in this game. He got a blunder by O'Neill Cruz in center field, a fly ball that was lost, that would have been an out. And again, it happens. We don't think any less of Paul Skeens. It was just surprising to see him get roughed up like that. I think he'll be fine. And then, I don't want to hear, he pitched in the World Baseball Classic and, all this and all that. I think that, again, goes back to changing how we do the World Baseball Classic and when they do the World Baseball Classic. A couple of guys who struggled the first series of this season, just wanted to touch on them, and they are big names. One guy I picked to be have an MVP season again. Another guy almost won the MVP last year, but I did say he would not be the same player this year. Ronald Acuna Jr. for the Braves, as well as the Braves did against the Royals this past weekend. Ronald Acuna Jr. did not do that great. Now, the win maybe held back a home run on Sunday's game, but 1 for 12. He had 1 hit. They had a walk, and that was it. And he's batting like 83 right now. So, rough start to the season for him. And hopefully he can turn that around, as he had a really good bounce-back year last year and, comeback player of the year. Cal Raleigh was the other guy. Had a rough weekend. 2 for 15. He did have a double and RBI later in the game on Sunday, but both struggled. I don't know the strikeouts. I know they just really, really struggled. Obviously you can see their numbers, but it's one series, it's one weekend. I think both bounce back. I just said Cal Raleigh's not going to have the season he had last year. Don't expect 60 home runs. But I do think Acuna was going to have a bounce back. They need him. They need him so bad. He needs it as well. Again, as I mentioned in previous episodes, he's hunting for that extension, which would be huge money, or he's going to get huge money in free agency. As you know, in baseball, they don't really, they go off of talent and potential. I mean, he showed obviously his talent and his potential, but they don't want to see, I don't think he wants to show that he's slowing down or struggling or anything like that. But he's got it. We just need that Ronald Acuna that was balling out for Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. And if we get that, I think the Braves will be fine. And Cal Raleigh, who obviously got benched in the World Baseball Classic, and maybe we know why. Maybe he was struggling there too, and DeRosa just saw something ahead of time. But again, it's one series. Just notice they had a rough one, and other people who had rough ones was some umpires in this new ABS system. All right. Also, along with a part of this opening weekend, weekdays, weekend, whatever you want to call it again for MLB. We got a taste of the ABS system, automated ball strike system. Now, if you don't know what this is now as they call robot umpires, that players, coaches, whoever, they can challenge a call. Batters, they don't like it, they can challenge. pitchers, catchers, whoever. They can challenge a call. They got to do it really quick. We learned that, and I'll get into that. But we got our first taste of it. There's a lot of numbers out there. I think it worked relatively well. I think it was just, it's different, and you got to learn the rules and learn when you can challenge and how quick you got to challenge, and you can, things like that. But we got our first taste of it, and umpires get our first taste of it. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes the rest of the season. But there were some numbers on umpires based off of this new thing that is going on, this new technology that we're using in MLB, because, oh my God, we just can't, we've already got challenge system, but now we're challenging balls and strikes for the home plate umpire. And of course, this is all because, they give you the technology when you're watching the game on TV of the digital box, strike zone. So everybody sees if it's a strike or not. So then you get the call. So we're taking away that human element of the umpire calling balls and strikes. Again, you only get so many in a game challenges to do this, and you have to get them right. It's kind of like, challenges in NFL for, calls. One umpire in particular was getting a lot of heat online was C.B. Buckner. He led all umpires with 6 overturn calls, which I don't know if that's correct. No, that's not correct. But he did have 6 pitches overturned, including 3 consecutive third strike calls. He was challenged 8 times for a 75% overturn. And then I had to correct myself here because I think they were just looking at he led for how many times he got challenged. So he got challenged 8 times, the most by anybody during opening days and weekend for MLB. But next up, another umpire, Chad Whitson, was challenged 7 times for 100% overturn. He had every one overturned, and this all happened in the Yankees and the Giants game. I believe it said the Giants challenged 4, Yankees 3, and all were overturned. Trip Gibson challenged 6 times, 67% overturn, and then 22 umpires had 3 to 5 challenges. So the stats are there. It's either going to expose umpires or it's going to make them be better. I think it's going to make them try to be better. I don't think they're trying to be bad. If you've ever umpired, it's not to me, it's not the easiest thing, even though I don't do behind the plate, but I can only imagine. 100-mile-an-hour fastballs and breaking balls and all these things that are going on. Again, baseball has been this where it is based on what the umpire sees and what they call. But now we have technology. You don't want guys getting cheated, and we've seen that before. So it's going to be, how do the umpires, how do they react to this? The rest of the season, will really bad performances lead to replacing umpires altogether? You got to have them there for calls at the plate and to run the game. But does it, do they get penalized? Do they get, docked pay? What's the ramifications if we keep putting out these stats of how many times they got challenged and what was overturned? MLB's going to look at this and then they're making it public. And it's just more now eyes on umpires. And if you know about umpiring, MLB is one level, right? They know your name. They get it out there. Now you got all over the internet. But it's hard enough to get umpires, especially in youth sports. And I talked about this before. It's a really baseball and umpires and referees all together. And this is, of course, based off of, coaches and parents yelling at them. And it's really, really hard, or getting threatened or whatever, or the pay. So now, obviously umpires have to get paid more to get them to do it. It's not the glamorous job or side job that you think it is to get yelled at constantly for every call you make. But so now we're even again, that microscope again, we're really looking down on these umpires, especially in Major League Baseball, to make the right call and get it right. So this ABS system is, again, it could go, again, there's two ways it's going to go, right? It's going to either they're going to get better and really, really, really try to make sure they're doing it. Not that they're not now. Or, they're going to get exposed and it's going to go bad. So we'll see how this goes and how this changes the game. And I mentioned those rules. I mean, there are rules that I didn't even know about. I mean, I just remember watching the Braves and Matt Olson, and he challenged, and they said he wasn't fast enough, or he made a movement before he tapped his head, and I mean it's like split seconds. So that again is up to the umpire's discretion of how quickly you challenge. Because when Olsen did it, the umpire just kind of shook his head. No, you weren't quick enough. What? Literally the ball pitches. I mean, it was literally thrown and probably on the way back. I think it was on the way back to the pitcher, and they said Olsen wasn't quick enough. So, I mean, it was super, super, super quick that they just said, and they said no. So no other body movement, no other, your brain and body must react immediately if you don't like it. He got better as the series went on. But I also would like to see the stats on that as well. Those are the other stats I'd like to see. I'd like to see not just the umpire stats. I want to see the stats on players challenging calls and their percentage of winning the calls, because I think that matters just as much as the umpires, right? Who is second guessing the umpires' calls batting? Who's second guessing umpires' calls when you're pitching, or the catcher? And it's really those three, because you have to be so quick. It is definitely the batter, the catcher, the pitcher that's going to get the most, out of this. But yeah, let's throw out those numbers too and see who's getting it right, getting it wrong. But yeah, so opening weekend, I think baseball was hot coming off the World Baseball Classic, and with everything involved, I mean, there's a long season, 162 games. Now we're at 159 games, 158, depending on what team you are and how many games you played. I think everybody played 3 though. So roughly that 159 games left. Baseball, the season isn't up and down. You have to kind of just, roll with it. When your team or player is struggling, just know they can bounce back at any time. It's just that type of game. Maybe the umpires do the same with this ABS system. Maybe they had a rough opening weekend, weekdays, whatever we were calling it. And maybe they'll get better. Maybe these overturns will get better. And again, they do it pretty quick. But again, everything to watch this season is going to be, I think, really looking at the umpires and how did this go. But yeah, long season. Don't overreact. I'm not overreacting. I just wanted to point out who did good, who did bad. Don't overreact. It's going to, that summer stretch will really, determine who's good, who's bad, and who's going to be contenders this season. All right, so that is another episode of Fanatically Speaking. I am Kent. You can listen to the show on all podcast outlets. It's everywhere. And you can even listen on YouTube. No video, but you can listen on YouTube. You can follow the show. Stay in touch with what episodes are out there on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. They're all there. Just go check it out. See what episode. Maybe you missed one. Go back and listen. What's the topic? You can, like I said, follow the show everywhere, but like it, share it, listen. Those are the main ones. Download, comment, all that fun stuff. Any device you listen to, tap that app. And as for this episode, then I am out.